Welcome back to County Connection. For this final segment of our January episode, we are going to be talking about kicking the nicotine habit. And here to tell us all about it is Lauren Gilbert from Summit County Public Health. Welcome, Lauren.
Thanks. Hi, Julie.
So, Lauren, kicking a nicotine habit, whether it's smoking, chewing, vaping, is probably one of the most common New Year's resolutions, but it is also something that is a really difficult resolution to keep because nicotine is so addictive, right?
Right. Yeah, it's one of the most addictive substances. So a lot of people try quitting multiple times, and the data shows that like 70% of adult smokers have attempted to quit before. So it's definitely something that's highly sought after for smokers, but really difficult to do.
Right. And so can you talk a little bit about what resources are available for folks who are looking to kick that habit and start off this new decade on a healthier path?
So there's a lot of statewide resources for people. We're still working on the county level resources, but I can tell you a little bit about what we have. So if you go to Building Hope's website, and that's a resource that we have in Summit County for people to find therapy, you can sort by therapists for substance abuse, and that's where you're going to see therapists that have a specialty in addiction counseling. So that's a completely appropriate referral for smokers to seek out therapy locally, to work on quitting their addiction. The other thing that people can...
Before you move on, I'd like to talk a little bit more about that because it may not be something that folks automatically think about, addiction counseling or going to see a counselor or a therapist. They may think of that as more alcohol or some other types of drugs. But can you talk a little bit about how therapy can be such a great tool for folks who are looking to deal with a nicotine addiction?
Yeah, so I think for tobacco users, and especially among our youth, since youth aren't eligible for nicotine replacement therapy until they're 18, mostly what's available to them is talk therapy. So going to a therapist and seeking that out to work through some things that might be going on in people's lives. We know that, starting smoking or using nicotine can be directly linked with mental health. So, different social factors and societal factors, but mental health plays a big role in people starting this habit as well.
Sure. And I would imagine that stressors in life make it harder to kind of deal with those cravings and things like that. And so some kind of coping mechanisms for things in life that may be weighing on you can be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going and talking to someone, someone that has a specialty in addiction counseling can be really helpful, I think.
Great. And so people can go to the Building Hope website and look at all of the resources available in that mental health arena. And so what other resources?
So there is the Colorado Quit Line. So that is a phone-based counseling resource that people can use. It's for people ages 12 and up. So they recently, reduced the age because there's been such a rise in youth nicotine use. So like I said, the nicotine replacement therapy isn't available until people are 18. But for adults and people that are 18 and older, you can get like up to 8 weeks of nicotine replacement therapy for free. And then along with that is coaching sessions over the phone, and you can get additional support through email, instant message, or texting.
Okay, great. So a lot of ways to fit whatever your needs are and what works for your lifestyle and your schedule and everything like that.
Yeah.
Great. And then, so can you talk a little bit about nicotine replacement therapy and what that is all about?
Yeah, so typically a common, medication that's prescribed is called Chantix. But people can have really any form that they need of nicotine replacement therapy. So there's gums, lozenges, there's patches. And what it is it's nicotine in a measurable amount so that a doctor prescribes it and is able to eventually titrate people down by using this medication, so that, they may start off on like a 12 milligram patch, but eventually be lowered down.
So you're kind of tapering off.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why the quit line gives 8 weeks, when I asked them, they said 8 weeks is typically enough for people to stop using tobacco.
Great. And one of the things that we know about using these resources, like the counseling, the medication if you're 18 or older, therapy, etc., is that people who do take advantage of these resources have a much higher success rate of kicking that addiction, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but using multiple resources to help quitting something is definitely much higher rate of success than trying to go cold turkey.
Great. And then another factor that can help with someone's success is having their loved ones be kind of plugged in and supportive, and their resources through the quit line for friends and family members of people who are trying to quit nicotine, right?
Yeah, yep. You can definitely be a quit partner in supporting someone to quit. And I can talk a little bit about the Baby and Me tobacco-free program, because that really incentivizes those quit partners.
Great, yeah, definitely. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it's a program through Summit County Public Health. It's run by our WIC director, Whitney Horner, and it's for pregnant women that are smokers. So it incentivizes these women to quit through getting diaper or wipe vouchers. So they're eligible for up to 14 vouchers, I believe it is, with their prenatal and postpartum period. So, they could get like one diaper voucher a month, which, is worth $25, which is a pretty big amount.
Oh, okay.
But then you can also sign up a support partner, and it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. A lot of people want their mom to support them with quitting, or a close family member. So if that quit partner enrolls, then they can get diaper vouchers as well for the baby. Wow. So that's really helpful to have someone go along with you and decide to quit.
Yeah, and a really nice incentive to have free diapers.
Yeah.
Kind of have an extra motivation factor.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. And so people can reach Whitney through Summit County Public Health on the Summit County website.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You can reach out to Whitney. She's our WIC director, and then inquire about the Baby and Me program.
Okay, great. And so one of the things that we're kind of looking ahead in the future, but the not too distant future, is voters recently approved a tax, and we've implemented some new policies that are geared towards helping all kinds of folks across our community to not use nicotine either in the first place or to help folks quit. So can you talk about what has happened in recent months in Summit County, and what are kind of our next steps? Yeah.
So this approving the tax, or voters voting on the tax, is kind of part of a bigger plan. So we want to make sure when we're implementing tobacco and nicotine policies that they're comprehensive. So what that means is using multiple strategies to make sure that our goal is more successful. So we worked last summer to implement tobacco retail licensing and raising the buying age to 21, which was a success. So all towns in the county passed that as an ordinance. The tax, however, did have to go to a vote. So that went in November, and it did pass.
Overwhelmingly, right?
Yeah, about by 70%, I think. So that's, implemented as of January 1st, and people, retailers should be buying their licenses and setting up their POS system to charge the appropriate amount of tax. So right now, I think the towns are working through that licensing process and making sure that collection is going to go smoothly. But public health has been part of a work group to talk about implementing programming and kind of doing a needs assessment. But we really need to see what the revenue is going to do, because a lot of the programming is dependent on the revenue.
Right.
And estimating revenue on this sort of thing is incredibly difficult.
Right.
So,
kind of surprisingly difficult.
Yeah. After we get a few months into the year, I think we'll have a better idea of what, the rest of the year is going to look like, and be able to make recommendations for programming. I know that public health is definitely considering implementing some prevention and cessation programming for youth and adults.
Right. And the youth vaping epidemic was a real, one of the main drivers behind these policies from the start, right? Because we've been seeing a tremendous rate of youth vaping.
Yeah, definitely. I think the whole initiative, the tobacco retail licensing 21 and the price increase, was really youth-led. They were extremely passionate about the topic, and they really rallied around the issue. We, from public health, were there to support the youth and going to town council meetings to pass some of these ordinances, but I would say they really took the lead and were the voice for the campaign. It was so important to have them.
Yeah, definitely. And they received an award from the Summit Foundation for the incredible work that they did in talking to all the town councils and the Board of County Commissioners.
Yeah. Kathy Neal, actually, the clerk and recorder, gave them a framed picture of the certified ballot language, so that was really exciting too.
That's very cool. So speaking of youth vaping and youth addiction to nicotine, can you talk us through some of the products that you have here?
Yeah. So I'll just show the Juul here, which is one of the most popular vapes on the market. We would call this like a third generation vape. So when they started out, it was just the electronic cigarette. It wasn't necessarily rechargeable. And then it moved into refillable vapes. And then this is something called a pod vape. So you would just buy pods to put into the vape. And, it has a set amount of nicotine in it, which is quite a bit, actually. One pod of Juul is like a pack of cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
And anecdotally, youth say that they use like a half to a full pod per day. So they're getting like a pack of cigarettes worth of nicotine in 1 or 2 days, which is a lot.
That is a lot. And one of the things that we know is that the impact of any addictive substance on a developing adolescent brain has much more powerful negative effects than it does on a fully developed adult brain.
Yeah, unfortunately with this sort of thing, the prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed, which is responsible for the rational reasoning and decision making, but the reward system where you're getting that dopamine response is fully developed. So every time they're hitting the Juul, they're getting a release of dopamine. It makes them feel good. And it makes it really hard to quit, especially when you're getting that much nicotine a day, about a pack of cigarettes.
Right.
Your average smoker isn't even getting that much.
Wow.
So I can see why it is so hard for youth to quit juuling.
Right. Well, and it is great that the Quit line now serves Coloradans who are as young as 12.
Yeah.
If they need that resource, and I assume it's confidential.
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
So what are some of the other items that you have here?
Yeah, so I brought this with me. So these are refills for the Juul. So a lot of people think that you can only buy the flavors or the pods that come with the Juul, but this is like an off-brand or someone that makes a pod compatible to go into the Juul.
Okay.
So when Juul says they only have 4 flavors, that's not really true. I mean, yes, a company is only making 4 flavors, but there's all these other companies that are making any flavor you want that you can put into the Juul. I have this e-juice here. So this is what would go into a vape that isn't like a pod Juul.
Okay.
More of a type of vape that you can refill the cartridge.
Okay.
So that's where you can get into really buying any level of nicotine you want, which is dangerous because then we might be even talking more than 1 pack of cigarettes a day. Though I think that the Juul is significantly high.
And then what about these other things that you have here?
Yeah, so this is something that's pretty popular right now. These are just nicotine pouches, so they don't have tobacco in them. It's just the flavor and the nicotine. And I think people, are attracted to them because it's something new, different, and it's not like chew or snus. But I just bring this around to show people like the tobacco industry is just diversifying their products, and if it wasn't vape, it would be something else. So even if that's the importance of these comprehensive policies, is you can't just ban the popular bad thing right now because it's always going to be something different with the tobacco
They're always
industry.
Looking for different cracks in the system
to skirt around all the regulations that exist for cigarettes and tobacco and nicotine products.
Right. And then how about that jar of peanut butter?
Yeah, so this is a stash container, and if you open it up, it's just empty in here. It's just something that people can use to hide their paraphernalia, really. So you go into any vape shop and they're going to have plenty of stash containers to choose from.
And then, so the importance of talking about these products and understanding how they work and what they look like is really important for parents, right? To be able to have discussions with their kids.
Yeah, definitely. Just familiarizing yourself with the culture, which I know can be really hard because there's a lot of information out there. But we're trying to do more education too. For instance, on the 13th, I'll be going to Summit Middle School, and we're hosting a presentation in Spanish and in English. We're going to be talking about vaping, the statistics of youth use, and we'll be talking about like how to be a trusted adult. So I'll be there from Public Health, the Care Clinic will be there, Youth and Family, and the Youth Empowerment Society of Summit. The youth will be talking about the stats.
Excellent. Do you have any other tips for folks who are wondering about how to kind of stay tuned in and to understand the culture so that they are up with the times and can more easily have conversations with their kids? How would they go about doing that? TobaccoFreeCO.org has some really great resources, and they have information on there of how to talk to your kids about vaping, which is really awesome. There's a couple other resources that we'll be showing at the event at the middle school, so that people can really stay up to date and follow these websites that have, the most up-to-date information. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. And so that's January 13th. Which day of the week is that?
I believe it's a Monday.
Okay.
And it will be at 5:30.
Okay, at Summit Middle School.
Yeah, and it's part of the SMS Connect, so there will be dinner too.
All right, fantastic. All right. Well, Lauren, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about in regard to helping folks kick a nicotine habit?
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention a couple more resources. So now there's, if people don't want to do phone coaching with the Colorado Quit Line, a lot of youth might like to use messaging or text messaging. So there's a couple resources that youth can use for, a messaging-based coaching. And those are through the Truth Initiative. There's one called This Is Quitting.
Okay.
And I can give you the information on how to enroll.
Excellent.
Okay. So to enroll, youth would text Ditch Juul to 88709. So that's the This Is Quitting campaign. And then there's another one called My Life, My Quit, and it's really geared towards youth, and they can enroll through texting too. They would text Start My Quit to 855-891-9989.
Excellent. Great. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for coming in and talking about all these resources and some of the things that are in the works here in Summit County and things that are available statewide for folks who are looking to free themselves from an addiction to nicotine.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, and thanks so much for all of you at home who have joined us for another episode of County Connection. We'll look forward to seeing you next month.